a sanctioned match for the ASW South British Championship. One fall to a finish. Introducing first.
Well, apparently we ain't got time for Bobby Vegas to do any interruptions because it is now time for the ASW South British Heavyweight Championship to be defended. And Bobby Vegas, of course, adding insult to injury after being dethroned last time out at Ascension 2, will now be forced as MC to watch as the man who dethroned him will put the gold on the line momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to one of the greatest to ever do it. Bobby Vegas stole my thunder because let me do it for you, ladies and gentlemen. Arguably the greatest technical wrestler to ever have been brought up in the British Isles. Ladies and gentlemen, the benchmark of professional wrestling, the ASW South British Heavyweight Champion, Joel Redman. Yes, indeed. One of the greatest to ever do it, and obviously extremely popular here in his home town of Salisbury. Joel Redman, since knocking off Bobby Vegas for the gold, has made one thing very clear, and that is that he wants to be a fighting champion, and he wants to give the next generation the opportunity. Well, this is what Proving Ground is all about. A lot of people talking about how the next generation doesn't cut up to the current standard of ASW South. Well, we sold this place out, didn't we? And it sure as hell wasn't just on the back of great legends like Joel Redman. It certainly will include his opponent here tonight, who, for my estimation, has one of the brightest futures in professional wrestling.
And introducing the challenger.
His challenger, ladies and gentlemen, has all the skills, all the tools, and is going all the way up.
Nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up.
Making his way to the ring.
Nothing can stop me, I'm all
The one and only, but never lonely. Morgan Scott.
One half of the Pit and Playboys alongside Sugar Boy, and understandably so, and a man that I effectively have coined the term of being the Logan Paul of British professional wrestling. And trust me, if you like Logan Paul or not, I don't really give a damn, because Logan Paul be talented and Morgan Scott equally so.
The following is a sanctioned match for the ASW South British Heavyweight Championship. Introducing first the challenger, weighing in at 12 stone, hailing from Salisbury. The one and only, but never lonely, Morgan Scott.
A less than favourable response here from Morgan Scott.
And introducing the ASW South British Champion, he is the inaugural WWE NXT Tag Team Champion, hailing from Salisbury, weighing in at 17 stone, this is the benchmark, Joel Redman!
Well, all the time for talking is over. Roger Sears takes charge of this officially sanctioned championship matchup for the ASW South British Heavyweight Championship right there in the sky. The biggest prize in the game. Don't get it twisted, and it belongs to the benchmark, Joel Redman. But Morgan Scott, as the first challenger, has arguably an extremely enviable position, because he could knock off Joel Redman at the first time of asking. And from what I can tell, Joel Redman is taking Morgan Scott a little bit lightly, and Morgan Scott does not appreciate the handshake gesture. Morgan Scott ain't here to shake hands. Morgan Scott is here to make money. You do not make money by shaking hands and making friends. Let me make that very clear. I have all the love and respect for Joel Redman in the world, but I think Morgan Scott deserves a little bit more credit than he's getting, as he's backed up quite nicely, and you saw the eyes of Morgan Scott went wide there, because nobody wants a knife edge chop from the benchmark. Not even I'm stupid enough to want to sign up for that displeasure. And now a headlock applied by Joel Redman to Morgan Scott. Morgan gets wiped out with a shoulder tackle. Power's not going to get it done. Morgan Scott is not going to get it done in terms of power. Look at the physique. Look at the size of Joel Redman. He's in prime condition, ladies and gentlemen. The T600 of professional wrestling has been armed, cocked, and ready to go here in a championship matchup. And an arm ringer there. Just finally wrenching it. That shoulder, and you want to be careful, you might dislocate something. And Morgan Scott able to escape, goes for the snapmare, takes Joel Redman up and over, but Joel Redman immediately escapes and applies a headlock once again, shoots him off the ropes, goes for the sweep, does Morgan Scott, and just walks right into a brick wall once again. Shoulder tackle, and Joel Redman can do this all day. A gas tank like no other. It's pretty much infinite. I think Joel Redman offering up a test of strength. Joel Redman's own wife at ringside saying, go easy on Morgan Scott. Obviously, a lot of people, dare I say, feel sorry for him. And now Joel Redman having a very good time at the expense of Morgan Scott. Is like, come on, man. Come on, bro. Why you got to violate me like that? That's exactly what's going on there. Now, Morgan Scott looking to kick in again. Beautiful leapfrog there and looking for a hip toss. Nothing doing. Gets picked up with ease. Escapes out the back door. Oh, careful now, kids. Looking to get a cheap shot in on Joel Redman, who had that one scouted. And Morgan Scott bails to the outside. Joel Redman is having a lot of fun and, dare I say, playing with his food. He needs to be very careful, because if you take your eyes off the ball, that knee might just get rattled against the ring post, just like he did courtesy of Morgan Scott. Morgan Scott waited for an opening, and now he is going to work, and he is zoned in on that left knee. And don't get me wrong, Joel Redman is a physical specimen, but those knees have taken a lot of punishment over the years. That seems to have really fired things up, and Morgan Scott, like a Mr. Perfect in his prime, looking to sweep the legs out from Joel Redman. And now clearly the MO, the desire is to destroy the left leg of Joel Redman. Take away the wheel. Yes, indeed. Looking good on camera, son. Morgan Scott now going to work. And all of a sudden, all of the joking, all of the mockery has slowed right down as Morgan Scott gets sent to the outside. And Joel Redman, I think he's looking far less impressed now and is all business with that patented suplex, slingshotting Morgan Scott from the outside in. And now, well, I mentioned the knee. I'm not sure how advisable this is. As Joel Redman goes up to the top rope. Potentially was looking to drop it, but rolls through off of the landing. And a spear right in the middle of the ring. Morgan Scott has used that spear to win so many matches in the past. And Joel Redman kicks out very, very quickly there, and check out the replay on that. Beautiful, beautiful suplex, and then that spear colliding. Talk about a sexy replay. Nice job, Cross Cam. Absolutely stunning offense. And Morgan Scott, I tell you what, he's giving Joel Redman all he can handle. A lot of people thought this was going to go 3 minutes and it was going to be easy like work. Morgan Scott ascends to the top and gets a super kick right in the sternum for his troubles in his diaphragm. Damn near just shot out of his, well, you know what. And now a 2 count only, and I tell you what, that was a violent collision. Morgan Scott ascended, and he came crashing back down to earth with a harsh reality, courtesy of Joel Redman, and there's a forearm shiver right to the face, and Joel Redman responds with one of his own, and Morgan Scott lighting up Joel Redman, who returns quite viciously with a knife-edge chop. And Morgan Scott does not want to be trading blows with someone the likes of the benchmark. We've established that, and he's wrenched in the eyes, and that's what you got to do. You've got to bend the rules if you've got to beat someone the likes of Joel Redman. And a back elbow catches him flush, and a knife-edge chop as well. Joel Redman beginning to cook, and a hard splash in the corner. Welcome to the biz, kids. Irish whip reverse. Morgan Scott looking to come in. Nobody home. And now Redman looking to finish this with a jackhammer. But hey, Morgan Scott had it scouted. Fair play. A rake of the eyes once again. And again goes right back to the leg. Swings out the right leg this time, but the damage still obviously on show on the left leg. And Morgan Scott, to his credit, has had an answer for everything Joel Redman has thrown at him. And Joel Redman is one of the best in the world. So what does that tell you about Morgan Scott? That he's had it scouted and he is working that left wheel like his life depends on it. And it is now time for the figure 4 leg lock. I've known Morgan Scott since the day he walked in at this school, and I referred to him as a potential Ric Flair-like talent. A lot of people might think that's a massive exaggeration, but legitimately, this kid has all the tools to be the very best. But I'll tell you what, it ain't gonna mean jack unless you can knock off the champ. And now the figure 4 is reversed, the pressure is countered, and now Morgan Scott is in serious trouble when he gets to the ropes and creates a rope break. Joel Redman is very, very savvy. But I'll tell you what, he is favouring that left leg quite a lot now. And he gets hung out to dry on the top rope. Morgan Scott baited him in quite nicely. And man, you have got to be impressed with Morgan Scott right here. He has delivered on every level. And now what the hell's he up to? Well, Morgan Scott retrieving the championship belt. No idea what he's doing here, because if he hits Joel Redman with that, he'll be disqualified and he'll lose his opportunity. Surely Morgan Scott hasn't lost his marbles here at the most crucial juncture of this matchup, and Roger Sears trying to implore Morgan Scott not to use the belt, and rightfully so. And Morgan Scott, Roger Sears is not going to allow Morgan Scott the opportunity. A super kick right on the chin. Oh man, that landed. That landed brutally, and now Joel Redman is going to take full advantage and looking to deliver a jackhammer, an attitude adjustment for the young Morgan Scott, and Joel Redman retains the big gold here at the Studio Theatre.
Here's your winner, and still ASW South British Champion, the benchmark, Joel Redman.
Well, that right there, the signified ending that so many people have suffered courtesy of Joel Redman, who retains the championship and moves on to greener pastures. But let's give it up to Morgan Scott, who delivered extremely impressively here tonight at the Studio Theatre. That right there could be one to watch. But right now, the old guard isn't too keen on giving up the gates to success just yet. Joel Redman and still